close your eyes and go inside your own inner being. I want you to talk to all the different parts of you from over the course of the years. Your 10-year-old self, your 15-year-old self, your 20-year-old self, the mother that wasn't invited to the wedding, all those parts. And I want you to speak to those parts of you. I want you to be for a moment. I want you to be your wise, eternal, divine self. I want you to be your divine mother self. And I want you to talk to Trinity and tell her how sorry you are that you allowed her to suffer all these things and that you're not going to allow her to suffer anymore. And I want you to ask her to forgive you for leaving her in this situation for so long. Trinity, please forgive me for leaving you in all this pain for so long. And as your higher self, just speak to her and let her know that she doesn't have to suffer anymore, that you're going to step up and things are going to change. Hello, dear Trinity. I know you know me already, but this is our first time really getting to meet.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you're excited. That's good.
I am. I'm already tearing up.
Yeah, that's normal. Usually when Judah's around and their presence is coming, you start feeling that sense of just overwhelming love and care. It's really beautiful. And the emotion does start flowing, and it's really great. You want that to happen. It's that energy in motion. And so it's already a clearing. It's going to be a great time for you.
Appreciative. I can't even begin to say.
Me too. So we're just welcoming Judah. Do I have permission to just bring Judah into your space
Oh,
there?
yes, please. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Judah. Just come on in and fill up that space all around Trinity and let her feel connected to you, to your essence, your beautiful presence, your angels all around. And just guide her as she shares and me as I listen. And thank you for overseeing all of it. And I ask you to bring a real freedom today, even more than what Trinity imagines or believes is possible. I thank you, Judah, that she'll be a different person on the other side of this appointment today. And I ask you to do things for her that she doesn't even know she needs in your divine wisdom and insight. Thank you, Judah. All right, my dear. So I might go in and out of channeling, but whatever happens, Judah's present and working with us, okay? So you just
Sure.
tell me everything that's on your mind, any part of your story you want me to hear. Stories are very sacred, questions are sacred, and we're just gonna serve you.
Oh, well, I've definitely been through a lot in my 43 years. I was, led to becoming very responsible very young when my parents got divorced and I had to start caring for my younger brother. We had a difficult relationship all growing up because, I was very known to the fact that there was favoritism, allowed in there. My mom was very much okay with telling me even at a young age that the only reason she got pregnant with me is because my father told me she was getting pregnant no matter what. So it felt at a young age like she didn't really choose that, and I have a very difficult relationship with my mother. I don't speak to my father at all. So yeah, I grew up very young. I had to be responsible at a young age. I got pregnant at 15 years old and I had an abortion, and I ended up getting pregnant again. And this time it was so hard. I was awake the entire time for the abortion when I was 15. And it was something that I didn't realize I was holding on to for as long as I was, until I saw an acupuncturist. She helped me through a lot. The actual baby shower that I had was the year anniversary of my first abortion. So that it was difficult, but I had my daughter and I wouldn't change anything for the world. I moved down to Florida. I grew up in Chicago. I moved down here when I was 19. And my daughter was only like 2.5, and I met my son's father a few days after. We were in a friendship for a few years. I ended up moving in with him. We moved to Lakeland, Florida, and I got pregnant again, and I was not ready for that at all. He was also he had Tourette syndrome. So he was doing painkillers, and I had never done anything like that before. And when I came down here, I unfortunately got addicted to those as well, being in a relationship with him. And he was doing things that have stuck with me my whole life because I got, in trouble, he was having me call in prescriptions at that time. and we would go and pick up prescriptions and some fake name, and did that for quite a while. And when we stopped, when we moved to Lakeland, like we were stopping, we were trying to get away from all that. And I found out I was pregnant, and he said, we'll just do it one more time, and we'll drive to Bradenton and get rid of it. So, because we both knew we were not in the position to have another child. I was not in the position or ready to have another abortion, but that is the way things ended up, playing out as far as our plan. I got arrested when we were on our way down trying to get these prescriptions, and we went to 2 different places, and I got charged for both of them. I was in jail. I had to be bonded out. It was a whole ugly mess. A month after that, he passed away. He was only 24 years old. I was 3 months pregnant, and I thought he had passed away from, an overdose. We had methadone and Xanax in our house at that time. And I had, the night before he passed, we got in this big fight. I locked myself in the room and I wrote this whole long letter about, I thought this is, he was stopping this, it was a very hard situation. I woke up, or I left the room in the middle of the night, and he had passed out on the couch, and I got him comfortable and took off his shoes and, got him comfortable. I was woken up in the middle of the night by my daughter, who was about 5 at that time. She was crying and screaming because he was breathing very weird, and he had asthma. So I went out there and I turned him on his side and went back to bed, because I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday shifts at the hospital, 12-hour shifts. So I had to be at work. So I turned him on his side and he seemed to be okay. Tried to wake him up, but I couldn't wake him up. So I went back to sleep for the few hours that I had, left for work that day, and he ended up passing away. Through many, many talks with the person who was doing his autopsy, his coroner, I found out he had a severe heart disease. And that is why that was the reason that he passed. He said that the painkillers were actually thinning his blood and helping it to circulate. So he said in his idea that they probably extended his life, if anything. So this was a huge relief to me, because a lawyer had informed me that if he did in fact die of an overdose, that they had me on camera walking into these pharmacies and picking up these prescriptions, and I was the one who had done this, I would be facing murder 3 or manslaughter. I know that someone was watching over me in many ways. During that time, I went through a lot. I think that's kind of when I started, really thinking. I did not grow up in a Christian household at all. We never went to church. The most I got from the Bible is my mother thought a great bedtime story would be reading the Revelations to us. So that was the most that I knew from the Bible at a young age. When I was with him, he was very much in the Christian faith, and I did read the Bible, a few times at that, and went to church more with him at that time. And after he passed, I definitely struggled for a long, long time, considering I was pregnant and now once again a single mother. The father of my oldest was severely abusive. The first time he hit me, I was like 8 months pregnant. So I've been through quite a few abusive relationships. And even though he was not abusive towards me in any way, the fact that he let me, do these things, and I have this criminal record now that's still following me to this day. I definitely struggled off and on, but kept myself going. Always try to keep positive. I had given birth to my last child, who's now 16, 7 years after my son's birth, and she, I believe, has helped me so much throughout my life. I've gone through so many difficult times being a single mom of, 2 or 3 kids of my own. I've had spurts where I've had to move back in with my mom. And her and I don't do too well together. Especially, it's, hard to live with your mother when you're trying to be a mother, of course. So we were living in her house, and my brother was living there also. He unfortunately was struggling with a heroin addiction, and she ended up kicking me out a few times of her house. And the second time she kicked me out, it was close to school starting. And so family had reached out to me, my son's father's family, asking if, I needed help. And they offered to take my 2 older children in for me. It was the hardest decision in my life. I went up to a place in Tampa called Metropolitan Ministries, and they offered me to come and stay there. And at this time, I had no license. I had no car. I had no job. I had nothing, and they said the only way I can come there is if I brought all 3 of my children. My 2 older children were already settled in, very comfortable homes. They were very financially stable. They had their own room. They were going to good schools, and they wanted me to move there to Tampa in a 10 by 10 room with all 3 of us. I made the decision to not do that because I did not want to pull my kids from where they were and, worry that they'd resent me for the fact, just of my selfish need of wanting to be with them. So my 2 older kids stayed with family. My oldest daughter, I was still in contact with at all times. My son was unfortunately led to believe that every time he asked about me, he was 9 when he went to stay with them. For the first year or 2, we talked every single day. I would read him books at night. He would come over on the weekends, everything. I ended up moving back in with my mother for some time. And my son told me he wanted to come back, live with me again, and my youngest daughter. And the week before he was set to come back in, my mother kicked me out again for some reason. I don't even remember. I think I took her car to the grocery store. I think that was it. Even though she wanted me to use her car all the time to run errands, I didn't wake her and ask her, and so she kicked me out for using her vehicle. And I remember I was sleeping in the Salvation Army, and they kick you out at 6 a.m. And I walked down to the library, and my son called me on my cell phone, and he was ready to come over that weekend. And I had to lie to him, telling him that I couldn't. I was out looking for jobs. My son was such a mama's boy. Like, he loved me so much. I didn't want him to worry, I didn't want him to have to worry about, where I was sleeping or anything, and knowing I didn't have a place to live. So I lied and I said that he couldn't come. I was looking for work and that it just wouldn't work out. So after that, all communication was cut off. He wouldn't answer any of my calls. I would leave messages in the voicemail, but nothing, no response. He finally wrote me a letter, and I received it at my friend's house where I was having my mail sent at the time. And I wrote him back, and gosh, this letter was probably like 14 pages front and back, me just spilling out my heart, and telling him how much I love him and care about him. Well, they apparently had him in therapy at the time, which is great. And I guess the therapist said there was a couple things in my letter that he might misconstrue, and so they never gave it to him. So he never thought that I responded. And I've throughout the years, every time that he asked about me, they said, oh, she's either on drugs or in jail. So that was probably one of the most difficult things that I have faced recently. I've tried to overcome it. I've gone, with careers and everything. At that time I was working as a restaurant manager for about a decade for a Subway, and it was a very time consuming job. It was my life, like that was all I did throughout my youngest daughter's life. I just left that job recently trying to, become successful, by either starting my own business. I recently got my license in finance, to sell life, health, and annuity insurance, and, trying to better myself, even though I am now in once again another abusive relationship. I met this guy about 6 years ago, and I had my own apartment with my youngest daughter. I was so proud of myself. I had gotten out of my mom's house again, and I was living on my own. Everything was going great, and I was not ready to get in any kind of relationship or anything, but I got lonely and was on a dating website, and I had messaged him and didn't go back on it again for months. And he ended up looking for me on Facebook, and he found me. And so I went on a date with him, and he seemed very nice. He had a young daughter himself, and I thought that's perfect, you know? We've been together for about 6 years now, and he is a severe alcoholic. He is very, very, very verbally abusive and very closed. He's not open to anything. He puts me down for meditating and says my head's in the clouds all the time. And you know, it's very rough. Even the neighbors have reached out to me because we live in condos, so they can hear him often asking me if I need help. So I currently am at the place I'm at right now. My car was just repossessed. I'm trying to move out of this condo I'm living at with him. I literally have about half of my stuff packed. So it's like boxes everywhere, trying to get in and out of places. I was just offered a position in Tampa, and the one I was offered 2 positions in Tampa. The one I really wanted, they rescinded their offer due to my background. And then I, had another offer. I reached out to them seeing if I could extend the start date because I don't have my car. Luckily, the guy I'm with sent me the money. He took out a loan previously on the equity in the condo, which the whole entire relationship we've been in, we had this arrangement where I would pay all of the rent, mortgage, and most of the bills, and he would buy the groceries and toiletries and help with other stuff. So for really, the whole 3 years we've been in this place, I had been paying the mortgage except for this past year. So I didn't know, because things aren't great with us, that he got this loan and took out money. So he sent me the money to get my car back. So I'm in the process of trying to get my car back right now. He, of course, demanded it back the very next day. Once, it goes from day to day. So I just really, I've been through so much. I've, literally taken my oldest daughter's father off from like the news as he was trying to hang himself multiple times. That happened 3 times. I've been in so many abusive relationships and had to deal with the narcissistic ways of my mother and my father. I don't know what really happened. I don't, but I believe I was molested by him when I was younger. I don't know if I put a lot of these things, like I just pushed them away. Seeing my acupuncturist brought a lot of things to light. I have just been focusing so hard on all of your teachings and trying to, be the best person that I can be. That's all I'm trying to do. And I feel like right now, the situation that I'm in is truly challenging me to give him love, the person I'm with right now, even though, I'm literally trying to sleep. I sleep on the couch right now. He took the mattress from my bed. So he was like standing over me yesterday morning at 6:30 in the morning. I had your 10-hour sleep meditation playing, and I had a sleep mask on because, in the living room, you never know when lights are going to be on in the kitchen or whatever. And woke up to him turning the light on, standing over me, screaming at me that I'm a douchebag, and, over and over. And I feel like if I can truly keep myself, calm, not let him get a rise out of me, or if he does really notice what it is bothering me, because I feel like if everything's a mirror and he's mirroring to me what I need to know, then this is a great lesson for me. It's hard. It's hard to keep positive when, I've been trying to. I took on a position in October, and I love this company so much. Like, I feel like they truly help people and they truly care. And I didn't realize how much of a toxic burden we were faced with at all. So I love it. But it's really, really difficult, when you're out knocking doors and doing this and, and I still haven't made a sale, so.
It's a commission-based
Yeah.
job?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and what you need a stable income.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, so let me just ask a few questions to clarify, and then we're going to get to work.
Of course.
So you're with a partner now,
Yes.
and you're planning to leave, and does he know that you're planning to leave?
He definitely knows because there's boxes packed all over.
Okay. And what's his name?
Sean.
And and are any of your children living with you now?
Yeah, my youngest, Ambrielle. My oldest daughter, she's about to turn, she's 27. She
Uh-huh.
just got married and she's married to, I literally, Angie, I could not have created a more perfect man for my daughter. So
That's so great.
it's so amazing. It was such a beautiful wedding. It was such a perfect day. It was hard for me because I was invited, of course, and I was there and I walked down the aisle, but I was not a part of it the way a mother should be, I feel. I love her so much. My son's father, his sister Becky, she raised her and her husband Ivan did for she was 13 when she left me. They, helped me out with everything and they took care of her. And so they did everything and helped her pay for it and all that. So it's difficult as a mother, but so rewarding, to see her realizing her dream. She's a speech pathologist and she's
Good for
just
her.
amazing. She's amazing. My
All
son
right.
got back in touch with me a few years ago, and we had a year that was amazing. We talked every single day. Everything was great. But a week before his wedding, I was told that I wasn't invited anymore, and my daughters were in the wedding. And he I don't know, he just stopped talking to me and wouldn't and even cut off my daughter. Now all of this was so hard on my youngest daughter, and that's, I think, the thing that bothers me the most, seeing her struggle. And so he even cut her off, saying that he couldn't be in a relationship with her because, of me, but no reasons whatsoever. So I was going to say, I'm just at the point to where I feel like I can't hurt anymore over that. I've hurt so much, and it's bothered me so much, and I've cried so much. I can't. It's his choice, and I just send him all my love and wish him all the best, and there's nothing more that I can do. I believe that, he listened to his uncle and his family. His name is Andrew. My oldest name is Angelica, and my youngest is Ambrielle.
And how old is Ambrielle?
She's 16.
16. How does she feel about a move?
She's worried, she's scared, just because of my financial situation. I have a place secured for her where she might be able to stay, temporarily while I'm trying to get back on my feet, worst case scenario. But she hates Sean and she wants to get away as much as she possibly can.
So it's you and Sean and Ambrielle. Anybody else in your household?
No, just my two cats.
Okay. All right, let's just check in with Judah. You've had quite an adventure so far.
Yeah, that was kind of like the Cliff Notes, trying to sum it up as much as I could. I know I've left many, many out, but there's only so much time, as they say.
Yeah. All right. Now, have you done any Judah treats at all before?
Oh, yes, I am definitely a member of Judah Treats, and I have completed every single one on there and continue to listen to them all the time.
All right, wonderful. And so that means you've had the introductory session. Good. So that means your brain is ready to go to receive the command. So I want to just start, dear, by treating everything you just shared with me. So all the things that you just shared are things that are stored in your memory bank, and they are being triggered now into this moment because of your sharing. So because they're surfacing into your conscious mind, we can treat all of that. Okay. So let's just begin there. So just relax if you can and breathe. Judah, I ask that you would tag and treat everything that Trinity just shared, every experience, every memory, every emotion, all the parts of her story that were brought to this moment. Judah, tag and treat all of those. Judah, please treat any parts, protector controller aspects, any negative emotions, any negative associations or disassociations. Judah, any memory structures of associations and trauma structures. I ask you to shatter those structures completely. And then, Judah, I ask that you would treat every single shard, every single fragment, line them up in the best order, treat it gently, safely, with total respect, never flooding her emotion, and do a massive change history and everything after that. Due to all of this, all drug abuse, all conflict, all abandonment, all rejection, Judah asks you would treat all of it in all realms of time and space, in every density, every dimension, every reality, every frequency band. I speak to any fields that are intruding in Trinity's life. Judah asks you to treat all fields, those that want treatment and those that don't, and do a massive change history and everything after that. And just take a few deep breaths, sweetie. And just let the energy go out of your body. And I just command all that fear to go now. And you, my dear, are completely, totally, 100% forgiven for all of it. And I just want you to forgive yourself, okay? So what I want you to do right now is I want you to close your eyes and go inside your own inner being. And I want you to talk to Trinity that took care of her parents, Trinity that got pregnant so young and had an abortion. I want you to talk to all the different parts of you from over the course of the years. Your 10-year-old self, your 15-year-old self, your 20-year-old self, the mother that wasn't invited to the wedding, all those parts. And I want you to speak to those parts of you. I want you to be for a moment. I want you to be your wise, eternal, divine self. I want you to be your divine mother self. Okay? And I want you to talk to Trinity and tell her how sorry you are that you allowed her to suffer all these things, and that you're not going to allow her to suffer anymore. She doesn't have to suffer anymore. And I want you to ask her to forgive you for leaving her in this situation for so long. Is it 46 years now?
43. Yeah, close enough.
43. Okay, does it make sense what I'm saying to you? So I want you to be your higher self, and I want you to go inside and ask Trinity to please forgive. Trinity, please forgive me for leaving you in all this pain for so long. And as your higher self, just speak to her and let her know that she doesn't have to suffer anymore, that you're going to step up and things are going to change. And I want you to let her know that you commit to making things better for her. Anything coming up around that?
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot. I mean, I think the reason why I've tried to step out of just my regular, looking for these salary paying jobs and just, these regular things I felt for so long that, I have so much more potential. Like I already knew I had so much more potential than what I was doing. I feel like something was obviously holding me back, because I was not having the success that I was envisioning for myself and planning and putting so much work into. It's been like almost a year now that I've been feeling like I need to remember something. Like I don't know what it is, but you know how you have like that nagging feeling like you're forgetting something? Like, oh, did I leave the stove on, or do I have my keys or whatever? It's like that's where it keeps popping up. And it's almost like, why haven't you remembered yet? Like kind of feeling like you should have remembered by now, and it's the oddest feeling. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like it has something to do with spiritual. Like I'm meant for so much more.
Yep, that's right.
I know it'll come in its own time, though.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let me get my chart here. All right. You've probably seen our chart, right?
I have your chart. I have it laminated. I've read Dr. Stephen Hawking's Power versus Force.
Good for you.
I love it. I love it all.
Amazing.
I've just been immersing myself in it, and I tell you what, I've already changed so much. I used to listen to like true crime podcasts all the time. I used to like love horror movies and stuff. I have literally no want or need or feel like all I do is immerse myself in this. And Judah, I've been, listening to a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work and Bashar. Oh, I love Bashar too. He cracks me up.
Yeah,
and
he's
just
great.
Everybody that you've recommended and being on your Telegram and everything that I could do to just try and surround myself and immerse myself with people who are on the same path.
You're doing great work. I'm very proud of all the work you're doing.
Ask Judah event if you have a question for Judah.
or you want some healing and maybe you're not in a position to afford a personal session right now, you can show up for that event. We have an hour where I take questions. I can't get everybody in, but I'll get as many people in as I can. You can ask Judah a question directly. And in the second hour, we do a group healing. They are very powerful and transformative, and we would love to see you there. Okay, much love to all of you. Seats are limited to 100 participants. Learn more and register by following the link in description, scanning the QR code, or by going to www.thejudahchannel.com/events. Reserve your spot today.